Good morning, everyone. We have a couple people still flooding in, so we will give it another 30 seconds or so and then get started. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We will get started now. It's 9:01, and we like to start meetings on time with the COEDC, so let's get started. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We really appreciate the time out of your day. My name is Krista Mallory. I am the manager at the Central Okanagan Economic Development Commission, which is a service of the Regional District of Central Okanagan. Next slide, please. I'd like to start by acknowledging that at least most of us are gathered virtually here from our homes and offices on the unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. As we talk about sharing our stories of our region and the wonderful parts about our region, that's something that we do not take lightly here. So today you'll hear from project partners of the OK Go campaign, as well as a couple business leaders who played a key role in this project by sharing their stories. Thank you to Ashley Ramsey, Lynn Heinrich, and Matt Bertulli for participating. Also joining us is Virginie de Vischer, Senior Director of Business Development with Destination Canada from her home office in Winnipeg. So virtual meetings certainly help with that distance. So thank you, Virginie, for joining us. And on the call, but not speaking directly, are many, many others who have allowed us access to their companies and stories for this project. So we thank you for that, and we thank you for being here today. Only one housekeeping item, and that is that we will accept questions through the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to enter your questions in there, and we'll either answer them at the end of this call, time permitting, or we'll reach out offline with you directly. Next slide, please, Sandra. There we go. I want to start by talking a little bit about this partnership. So this project's origin story is a pretty unique one. You wouldn't typically see a local government economic development department, a tourism marketing agency, and a tech accelerator working together like this. And each of our organizations have worked alongside each other for many, many years and supported each other's initiatives in telling the region's story within our own unique roles. But we hadn't worked together on a project like this. And about 18 months ago, through ongoing conversations, it became clear that while we all have different mandates and clients that we serve, we all share a common purpose. And that is to raise awareness of the Central Okanagan, or Okanagan at large, as economic and tourism opportunities. And as the impacts of COVID-19 hit the region last year, the bulk of each of our organization's efforts have really been focused on responding to the immediate needs of businesses navigating the impacts of the pandemic. But at the same time, it also became clear that we could work together to position the region for future economic recovery and business growth. So while all of our organizations have been allies before, Tourism Kelowna, Central Okanagan Economic Development Commission, and Accelerate Okanagan, now in bringing this project together, we really like to think of ourselves as accomplices. And by working together and leveraging each other's resources and respective strengths, we've been able to put together something that wouldn't have been possible for any one of our organizations alone. And this partnership also allowed us to leverage the resources of Global Affairs Canada through a program called Can Export that contributed matching dollars and to fund a large portion of this project. And I'd also like to point out and thank our agency partner, Crew Marketing Partners, for helping bring this vision to life. Next slide, please. So our overarching goal and objective with this project is to position the region for long-term economic recovery. We believe that the Kelowna CMA and the Central Okanagan is very well suited to thrive in a post-COVID world, but that we need to start positioning for that now. And that's the essence of the OK Go campaign. We're ready. Are you set? Okay, let's go. And we'll do that by selling the region as a knowledge center in key industries. The first phase of the campaign showcases stories of local companies in manufacturing, aerospace, agriculture, viticulture, and digital technology as it relates to innovation, entrepreneurship, and infrastructure in the region. And through these stories, we will communicate the region's supportive business environment, competitive tax climate, easy access for major centers, outdoor lifestyle, and most importantly, entrepreneurial energy and spirit of collaboration that gets startups, established businesses, and innovative thinkers excited about the region. Ultimately, we're encouraging executives in our target markets of the US, Pacific Northwest, and major Canadian cities to consider the region as a place to start a business, make a business investment, host a business event, or come visit. And Jennifer Hornsnell will talk a little bit about that later and how those three things are interconnected. I'd also like to point out that when I say region, I'm really referring to the Central Okanagan and really the Okanagan at large. Sometimes we say Kelowna interchange or Kelowna CMA, Census Metropolitan Area, interchangeably with the Okanagan or Central Okanagan, as our research has shown that that's really what resonates in our target markets, and that's who we're speaking to. Next slide, please. The sectors that we featured in phase one are aerospace, advanced manufacturing, agriculture, viticulture, and digital technology. So why these sectors and how might this benefit you or the broader economy if you don't happen to be in those sectors? In 2019, the COEDC released our Moving Forward to 2025 strategic plan, which was a result of an extensive economic base analysis that we won't subject you to. And through that, we identified sectors in focus that not only hold significance in the Okanagan region, or are B, poised for growth, but also drive economic growth in other sectors and the region as a whole by increasing household incomes, growing investment and innovation, enhancing supply chains, and also making the region attractive to people that eat in our restaurants, shop in our small businesses, buy, rent homes, offices, industrial space. So the sectors that we featured in this project are also in line with Tourism Kelowna and Destination Canada's economic sector strategy, which you'll hear a little bit more about later, and Accelerate Okanagan's sectors of innovation that identify sectors in the region that are ripe for innovation. So these were things that all three of our organizations had in common. And they also align with the Government of Canada and Province of BC's priority sectors, which allow us to leverage national programs like the Can Export program that provided matching funding I alluded to earlier, and provincial and federal initiatives that encourage investment and economic recovery in BC and Canada. So we really can get on board with some of those programs. And with that, I'd like to pass it over to Bree Lake, the CEO of Accelerate Okanagan, to share her perspective on the project.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Krista. I hope you can all see me now. Joining here from Kelowna, BC. Hello, my name is Bree Lake, and I'm the CEO of Accelerate Okanagan. I just looked through the attendees list, and there's many familiar names on there. So thank you for taking time this morning out of your busy schedule to join and learn more about this project. We're very excited to be able to launch OK Go today. At Accelerate Okanagan, we are on the mission to give entrepreneurs the mentorship, connection, and community that they need to build technology-driven businesses. We do this through helping entrepreneurs unlock the capital that they need to meet the growth. We coach leaders through structured mentorship programs at a variety of different stages, all the way from startups to scale-ups. And we engage the willing through collaborative partnerships like this. We believe that the strength of our community lies in our ability to collaborate. And it is through the unique partnerships like OK Go that we are able to leverage this strength. I want to give a shout out to COEDC, who had the vision on this project and pulled both AO and Tourism Kelowna in. We have loved the opportunity to get to work alongside you on this initiative and for our community. OK Go allows us to tell the engaging story of entrepreneurship through the local leaders of our community and shares with the world that the Okanagan has truly become an impressive technology and innovation hub, not just here in the interior or BC, but really Canada-wide. At AO, we believe that technology is no longer its own vertical sector. Technology is really becoming an enabler of all industries, and now more than ever, it is everywhere in our lives. And I truly believe every sector can benefit from innovation and technology. This past year, through COVID-19, we have all seen a wave of innovation and technology adoption, both personally and professionally. I think some of us probably have been forced into it as well. We see it now through the way and how we do work, how we join for meetings like this, how our children learn, and how we are able to connect with our family and friends. Every business owner has had to reevaluate and reconfigure how they do business and operate this past year. And thankfully, I believe technology has been part of the solution in many cases and helped to bridge that gap from pre-pandemic to what the future of work and owning a business will look like. By focusing on the 5 industry sectors that Krista has just highlighted, the OK Go project is really helping to showcase what entrepreneurs in our community can accomplish and position ourselves as a community to be able to support this growth and the changing needs of the diverse economic sectors as we've rapidly seen this past year. Local entrepreneurs have always been eager to share their story of how they are doing and growing their business here in the Okanagan, the wins that they are experiencing. And I really believe OK Go gives the community a tangible representation of the vibrant energy and growing prosperity here in our valley. Because of if our entrepreneurs win, our whole community wins. And OK Go is the way that we can help to celebrate that and get the word out. So thank you all for your time. And next, I would like to pass it over to Jennifer Hornsnell from Tourism Kelowna. Thank you all.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Hornsnell. I'm the Director of Business and Destination Development with Tourism Kelowna. Thanks so much for being here today, and thanks, Bree. Many of you know that as a destination marketing organization, Tourism Kelowna has a 4-season plan to generate interest and demand for our region. And we use meetings and conferences and business events as a strategy to attract visitors here in the off-season, outside the summer months. Unfortunately, we were given a look at what happens when we cannot host business events. And we know that an economic recovery must include their return. The launch of the OK Go campaign and this unique groundbreaking partnership takes Tourism Kelowna's meeting and conference strategy and combines it with the power and the expertise of the Economic Development Commission and Accelerate Okanagan. It's true Okanagan collaboration at its best. However, it's not very intuitive how sharing those business success stories will help us attract business events. So I wanted to provide you with a little bit more context. And I invited one of my colleagues, an expert in this field, Virginie de Vischer with Destination Canada, to help give us a bit of understanding of their national strategy. So without further ado, Virginie.
Thank you, Jen. I'm flattered to be your expert today. So Destination Canada, is otherwise known as the Canadian Tourism Commission, is a federal crown corporation that reports into ISED, Innovation, Science and Economic Development. We focus on 3 main areas: domestic leisure market, the international leisure market, and then we have business events. And that's the part that I will delve into today. So our strategy is based on a focused yet global sector approach. So what does that mean? In essence, it means that our objective is to increase global business event opportunities for Canada. We don't deal into the domestic business events market ourselves, that are aligned to the resilient economic sectors, the ones that are doing well and thriving, in which Canada leads, and sit within all 3 market segments of our business events industry, from corporations, associations, and incentive travel. Our intended result is that Canada is shortlisted by decision makers for their next business event, and of course, that those decision makers book their next business events in Canada. So it's not a spray and pray type of approach. It's very focused, and we know where our clients are. Let's move on to the next slide. And the next one still. So the global sector strategy is based on promoting our unique economic strengths to attract international events. So instead of competing uniquely based on our tourism infrastructure, which is amazing hotels, convention centers, attractions, which you have plenty of, but it's a very crowded and competitive international stage. So we lead with what makes us unique, our differentiator, and to those clients that are best aligned with our strengths. So based on our sectors rather than our geography. Take agribusiness, for example. We have mapped out all those international clusters around the world that are aligned with our agribusiness strengths and who we now know who our clients potentially are. Our global sector strategy of Destination Canada focuses on 6 key priority economic sectors that are listed here, from technology, life sciences, advanced manufacturing, agribusiness, natural resources, and finance and insurance. These are aligned with our federal government priorities. We focus on the C-suite decision maker rather than just on the meeting planner. Those are the ones that will put us on the short list. We take your destination's message, we amplify it, we take it to that international audience, we increase your reach with marketing and sales development efforts to reach that target audience and bring those opportunities back to your destination. Let's go on to the next slide. I talk a lot about clusters. How do you become one of those Canadian centers of excellence, one of those clusters? So clusters are an integrated ecosystem, which include a number of things. The first one is industry. So you have that private sector industry base, the companies that make the vibrancy of the sector. The second one is academia. That's your talent pipeline. That's your universities, your colleges. That really creates the ecosystem with the people. The third one is the research, the independent research that happens from NRC or other programs, those research institutions that drive the innovation forward. And finally, it's that government support, whether it's provincial or municipal, those institutions that will have programs to enable that entire ecosystem. So we've mapped that out for all of our key sectors across the country and identified which have that cluster. And then finally, to be on that national map, you have to make the Canadian team. So you might have clusters in different sectors that you've identified, but how do they represent themselves on a Canadian level? So now let's see what that finally looks like. On the next slide, how does Kelowna fit into this? You'll see I apologize for the smallness of this map, but our country is so large. So you'll see that Kelowna is represented within our Destination Canada marketing tools under technology and agribusiness. Now that aligns extremely well because you have digital tech within our technology sector, and then agriculture and viticulture are represented under our agribusiness strategy. You're not yet in advanced manufacturing, which for us includes aerospace, but who knows where that's going with all the developments that are happening in your region. So it does not mean that if your destination is not listed here in a particular sector, it doesn't mean that you don't have the strengths in that sector, as I just demonstrated within the aerospace of the advanced manufacturing. It just means that perhaps on an international perspective, it's not as strong to be leading for Canada. But it also doesn't mean that you're excluded from getting leads within that particular sector. It gets more value to meeting planners and decision makers. With this strategy, we help them make those data-driven decisions on what is best for their company or for their association and why they should meet here. We believe that those business events that we attract, when they're very aligned with our strengths, they lead to talent attraction, they lead to trade opportunities, investment opportunities, and research and development opportunities, which is the much larger picture than just filling our hotels and our tourism attractions, which is of course fantastic. We want them back. So we help their business case with stories, the reasons why, the site visits, connecting them with the local experts. It's really the meet with purpose that will be so much more relevant in a post-COVID era. Back over to you, Jen.
Thanks so much, Virginie. Next slide, please, Sandra. So now that you have a bit of an understanding of how Kelowna fits and how we promote Kelowna internationally, globally, through Destination Canada, I wanted to explain a little bit about how we're going to put this partnership in action right here in the Okanagan Valley. So we've all heard the analogy that a meeting or a conference is the first date for business events, investment, and talent attraction. And it's true, because if we all stop to think about it, we all know somebody who came to Kelowna for a meeting or a conference, fell in love with the communities, fell in love with the people, and decided to relocate. And now those new residents become our new backyard labor pool. They are either joining a local corporation or business here or working remotely, which we see more and more of these days. But what they do is they provide us with additional resources, talent resources. And we know as these new residents settle into the community, they're going to learn about some of the great businesses here. They're going to become passionate and want to invest, or because our region is the most entrepreneurial region in Canada, they might want to start their own business. So they're going to become business owners themselves and start to develop their own organizations and companies. And what does that mean for business events? Well, we know that being able to get outside of the conference space, and we have lovely conference spaces here, but actually walking through a business, actually seeing their innovation firsthand, actually speaking to leaders in the industry really adds that extra value to that meeting or conference, that delegate that's taken time out of their busy home and work life to come to our community. So we know that positioning Kelowna and the area as a leader in these key industries will help us attract more business and events. So as you can tell, I'm really excited about this launch and for the powerful way that we'll be able to share these stories of our business success and use them to entice executives to bring their next meeting or conference here to the Central Okanagan. And I'm going to pass it back to Krista to tell you more about OKGO.
Great. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Virginie. So you've seen a little bit about the why. Now I want to show you the actual how and what we've created. So most of you, or those who are featured or on our respective boards, have received a copy of this in the mail. So what a novelty, right? Actual mail. And what we hope you did when you received this magazine is touch it, feel it, open it, start reading the stories. We wanted to design something that you can't help but pick up. That's something that's glossy, sophisticated, professional, and competes on an international scale. And at the risk of denigrating my profession, we also want you to have no idea on first glance that this came from a local government economic development service. So in this magazine, you'll find some cheeky plays on words and engaging stories of entrepreneurs, but embedded within all of that is information about the infrastructure, the business case, research capabilities, academic talent pipelines, and business supports in the region. So we hope that you have had a chance to look through this, and we hope that it makes you say, although if you are on our respective boards or councils, you maybe are a little bit more familiar than the average person in the region, but we hope this makes you say, oh, wow, I had no idea that this was happening in my region. I had no idea that these businesses were making these amazing things. And we hope it makes you proud of your community. And we also hope it makes you proud to share the stories coming out of the region with your networks and say, this is what's happening in my hometown. Next slide, please. We've also designed a website that features content from the magazine as well as other information about the region and directs visitors back to us to get in touch further. And you'll notice if you peruse through the website that we don't spend a lot of time talking about the region's lakes, mountains, peaches, and beaches. Instead, we focus on the stories and let the visually rich imagery and video speak for itself. Next slide, please. I'm showing you here some digital ads that were created, a sneak peek, because you likely, while you may see some of these on our team's social media, you won't see this advertising targeted in the Central Okanagan because it will be broadcast outside our region mostly. So just a sneak peek of some of the assets that we've created. Next slide, please. And lastly, we have a 30-second shareable video that captures the entrepreneurial energy in the region. And if you're wondering if it was difficult to distill into 30 seconds, the answer is yes, yes, it was. Sandra, could you please play the video?
In a place that's so relaxing, it's impressive to see how much gets done. This is Kelowna and the Central Okanagan. Home to innovators, entrepreneurs, creators, and connoisseurs. This is the place to work and play. The Central Okanagan. We're ready. Are you set?
Thank you. And we're all doing a little dance inside that video actually worked over Zoom. Now, with respect to my colleagues who have spoken, is the best part of the morning here, where we'll get to hear from a couple of our featured business leaders and entrepreneurs about their participation. So first to start is Ashley Ramsey, CEO of Yeti Farm Creative.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Very excited to be here. Wow, that video is super cool. Really proud to be a part of this, to be honest, and share the story. I was just going to start with a quick, fun little reel here. I just can't share the screen at the moment. Is it going to be possible to do that? There we go. Nice. Perfect. And this will just give you a flavor of what we've been up to here in Kelowna. I don't think a lot of people know that we're animating such titles as Hotel Transylvania and Pete the Cat, and it's all happening right here, right in the middle of Kelowna. So I think it's a good news story that a lot of people don't know that that's actually happening. So I'll just go ahead and show you guys some of the stuff we've been working on. All right, I hope that played for everyone and everyone's like, what? That's all being made here. Super exciting to announce as well that we in the studio, and I'll talk a little bit about the story, but hot off the press, we have an approved script on a new live action series with CBC. So what's really cool about that is that we're actually now creating brand new brands right out of Kelowna in development with some of the Canada's major broadcasters, which is super exciting. We also just greenlit Sweet Tweets, which is our little preschool property with Knowledge Network and Shaw Rocket Fund and the participation of the Canadian Media Fund, and also participation with our awesome government tax credits. So bravo to Kelowna, creating brand new IP straight from Kelowna. Super stoked. Okay, I'll just dive in quick. Maybe Krista, wave me down if I'm taking too long. A little bit about the story. So having grown up and attended high school here in Kelowna, my husband Todd and I wanted to bring animation back home after spending a decade producing it in Vancouver. I spent a short stint at the Okanagan Film Commission, where I realized that it was probably going to be a smart business decision to set up a studio here as I started to learn about the different incentives and see how supportive our business community was for us. So we set out, and it's taken a few years. We started with 5 people. We had a little studio on Ellis Street, and we now have 175 seats. We have a studio on Leon Avenue. Everybody's working from home at the moment. We got in the truck and moved all our computers home on March 15th last year. And we continue to work from home. We have a little small crew here at the studio. I'm in my office, but we continue to crank out titles like Hotel T, Pete the Cat, Beat Bugs, and we're moving into a lot of the adult primetime space now with NBC, Universal, Disney, and Fox. So it's pretty exciting for us. So why did we do it? I mean, it was all about jobs. So in the last 5 years, we've created, over 200 jobs. People come and go, but our retention rate still sits at 97%. We have people that have been with us for 7 years. We have our core crew right now that we have about 70 people on staff just between projects, but all of them are core permanent employees, and they're contributing to economic impact here. Buying their first homes, super proud. Like, I have a little wall that says, how many mortgage letters I've signed. They've had their first babies, they've started their families, and they're spending money in our community. That makes me very excited. I get super, super jazzed about that. And on top of that, just the icing on the cake is that we've relocated 4 individuals from international destinations. One of them is now a permanent Canadian citizen, yay, from Guadalajara. So that's really also very exciting to me, to diversify the culture of our community and, make some people proud to be Canadian. So while I'm also a founder, I'm extremely passionate and I am an economic advocate, as some of you guys know. I've just joined the board at Accelerate Okanagan. Yay, so stoked. I also still sit with the BC Small Business Roundtable, and I'm also director for my 4th sitting year at the Canadian Producers Association. So I'm also doing a lot of work in the tax credit lobbying space as well, to make sure that our region is protected and we're able to continue to grow here and bring more studios here. So I see OK Go through all these different lenses. My own, my colleagues, organizations that are behind OK Go. It's so fantastic, and I'm so proud of you guys for this campaign. And for me, the campaign will give me tools to recruit the talent, attract them to the region. Like, I always love being able to send a video. Hey, look, everything that's going on, and look how beautiful it is. And I can send that to Fox and Amazon and NBCU and Disney, and say, look, this is it. Like, yeah, we're in this small place, but look at all the cool stuff going on here. So so that's it for me. I hope that helped. Yeah, super excited.
That is awesome, Ashley. We always love your energy first thing in the morning. Thank you so much. And as somebody with small kids who've been home a lot during the pandemic, I want to thank you for your public service. It's very important. And now I would like to pass it over to Lynn Heinrich, who is the Business Development and Marketing Manager, North America with Sunripe Lassonde, to talk a little bit about her perspectives. Thanks, Ashley, and take it away, Lynn.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Krista. Hi, I'm Lynn, and I'm proud to say that I'm a 27-year veteran with Sunripe, and that I've lived in Kelowna here most of my life. I've been really lucky in those years that Sunripe has grown, and I was able to grow with Sunripe. Sunripe essentially grew out of the need to process apples that couldn't be sold on the fresh market. The company was a cooperative back then, selling juices across Western Canada. Sunripe now boasts a large lineup of products across food and beverage, and they're sold throughout Canada, the US, and China. Our evolution from a cooperative to a publicly traded company to a privately owned entity with the Jim Pattison Group, and now most recently are being acquired by Lassonde Pappas Companies, Inc., only took a short 75 years. So really excited to say that we're celebrating 75 years as a company in 2021. Very exciting milestone. Not to be outdone, Lassonde is a 102-year-old company with roots in Rougemont, Quebec. The company also grew out of its region's agricultural base. It's a big company now with 2,500 employees and 16 processing plants across North America. They became the biggest the second largest juice maker in North America when they bought a US company called Clement Pappas in 2011. And the company continues its ambitious path of growth through acquisition. So what about this valley? The Okanagan is key to Sunripe's success, and it's very important to Lassonde. We live and work right here where our most important ingredient is grown, apples. We benefit from the agriculture in the Okanagan Valley that runs north and south across the US-Canadian border. Some of you may not know, we have production facilities in Selah, Washington, and there we also press apples to make, not from concentrate apple juice, and apple puree, both super key ingredients in our food and beverages. So Sunripe agreed to participate in the OK Go campaign to help highlight that, there's a major Canadian food and beverage manufacturer right here in the Valley. We also want people to know that we are very much open for business while we navigate the latest challenges of a global pandemic. Sunripe has continued to manufacture our signature juices and snacks and continue to grow despite the restrictions that COVID-19 has brought. we most urgently need to add to our highly skilled labor team here in Kelowna and Sela. And the OK Go materials are going to help us to tell that story. Manufacturing beverages in our Kelowna plant continues as Lassonde is integrating our businesses for synergies. A really key attribute for both Lassonde and Sunripe is to take advantage of our joint production facilities, east and west, to help minimize the need to transport heavy beverages across the continent. It's kind of a no-brainer. And Sunripe's expertise in fruit processing for foods like fruit to go is key. And we've added a breadth of products now that can expand under the numerous Lassonde brands. I can give you one example already with the launch of Apple and Eve fruit snacks. I hope you guys can see these. This March in the Northeast region of the US. They're manufactured right here in Kelowna. We're very excited. So the OK Go materials, we plan to use them, as I said, to tell our unique Okanagan story to potential employees and business partners. With the new US president, we hope to see a shift to more of a made in North American mentality. And we'll use the materials to continue to promote our products in China market and overseas. So we really are the envy of anyone who visits our valley. I've hosted numerous people from around the world who quickly talk about how they love to move to Kelowna and, or at the very least, return as tourists, and so many have. So thanks very much for your time today. Look forward to continuing on with this session. Thanks, Krista.
Great, thank you so much, Lynn. Also a public service during the pandemic was juice boxes in my household, so appreciate that. Next, I'd like to pass it over to Matt Broctule. Matt is the CEO of Pila, or Pila Case, as you might know it, and take it away, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Can you hear me, Krista? All good? All right. I don't know how much time I have, so I'm going to talk until somebody tells me to shut up. 5 minutes? Great. Cool. So we, if you can see that we make phone cases. The way that we sort of view our business is we're some mix between like manufacturing, digital community building, and for good, right? So our goal, our big mission as a company is to create a waste-free future. We do that by making everyday products without the everyday waste. So our phone cases are compostable, our sunglasses are biodegradable in a landfill. All of our packaging is plastic free. We're just trying to attack a really big problem in the world. That's kind of the business, right? Now, 3 years ago, actually, I think Krista, 3 years ago, like this month, at some point in the last few days, I flew out here with my partners, Brad and Jeremy, and just to kind of like take a look, right? So growing up in Ontario, I didn't actually know Kelowna was a place. I think it's like I suffered from Toronto as the center of the universe syndrome. And my business partner was like, look, let's go have a look because we want to locate the company somewhere on the West Coast. At the time, Pila was headquartered in Toronto in the offices of my last company. And I was in the process of selling that. So I knew I had to find a home for Pila. So we flew out here, and inside of like 24 hours, then we met with everybody from Corey to Colin and like a whole bunch of other entrepreneurs in town, and realized like it had this vibe to me of where, like having come up in Toronto, it reminded me of what it was like really early days when Toronto used to be nothing but lawyers and bankers. And, I learned that Kelowna just used to be nothing but agriculture. And it kind of felt like it was changing. And so my whole thing being here now, I've been here a little over two years, coming up on 2.5 years, is I think Kelowna is going to be the Austin of Canada. And I think COVID actually just accelerated the hell out of that. I've got an immense amount of my personal network that is now looking here to build business, to move their businesses here. And I'm super bullish on that. I think it's a combination of like, we picked here because it's just a great place to live. The people are awesome. The landscape is amazing. And as a business, if you're looking to recruit talent, which we are, so like here in town, we've got about 65 employees. most of which are here in Kelowna, right? We have a headquarters and we have a small lab manufacturing studio. You know, this just happens to be a place where people have figured out this life blend thing of work and living. And I think that's really important. You know, for Pila, it's an interesting thing. Like, we're a global, like, we don't actually sell a lot in Canada. Like, Canada to us is less than 10% of it's about 10% of our business right now. So it's not a huge amount. And the way we look at it, like, what we really want to do is we want to highlight like this place, right? So we like to use the landscape and we like to tell the story of us being in Canada and in the central interior BC, you know, and try to make noise for the Okanagan. You know, we're most famous locally now because we raised one of our biggest investors is Jay-Z. And all that does is just like, it just drives awareness for the Valley, which to me is important. Like, that means better and more people will show up here, which means that we can actually recruit the right folks to build this company that we're trying to build. You know, so I think the way I look at kind of this OK Go thing, and actually everything, I mean, Krista, we've chatted about this and I've chatted with Corey about this. Like, I would much rather be used than use OK Go. Like, I would rather, you know, the Okanagan look at Pila and say, like, how can we help drive awareness here that there's something pretty special? Gosh, Chris, I don't know what else to say. I hope that helps.
That's fantastic, Matt. Thank you. I think that's exactly what we were hoping for. It's just really great to hear your story and the perspective of somebody who moved a business here from another
Sure.
location. So thank you. Appreciate that. Great. All right, next slide, please, Sandra. Okay, so before I get into this, just one more, I wanted to express our thanks to Matt, Lynn, and Ashley for sharing the stories about how you're involved. And I know there's many other on the call that were also featured, and you've shared with us how this campaign can help your business and but overall, mostly how excited you are to help see the region that you call home grow. And so on this call today, we've invited our 3 respective boards or advisory councils, as well as many of the companies involved. And we've invited, and you're on our boards, and we've invited you because you are business and thought leaders, both in our community and externally outside the region. So I know that whenever we present anything to our advisory council, to their credit, the first question that they ask is always, how can we help? What can we do? How can we help? And that is, I think, really the spirit in the region. We've got so many people who are putting their hand up to say, how can we help? So here's a couple ways that you can help us with this campaign. And the first is to make it your own. I hope that you'll take pride in it and really think of this not as Tourism Kelowna, Accelerate Okanagan, and COEDC, but really think of this as a community effort. And what we'd like you to do is to please share on social media with the hashtag #ReadySetOKGo. We'll be posting from our organizations. Feel free to reshare or create your own posts. I see Paula Quinn from KF Aero has already asked for the link to the video. So thank you, Paula, for being so on it. You'll see posts from us, please reshare. And we also ask that you share directly with your networks. So you know that person that you met at a conference, wherever a few years ago when we were still doing that, and is in your industry and is a leader and might be looking for where their next office should be or where they should host their next conference. Reach out to them, share the information with them, especially in other markets. And Grant from KF as well, I think asked this question earlier. You've all received one copy of this. If you'd like more, please reach out to us directly. We're happy to share additional copies of this magazine with you to keep in your offices, to share with your friends, or when the time comes that you're traveling for business again, please bring some with you, share at trade show tables, etc. And next, as we deploy phase 1, which you're seeing today, we're also gearing up and planning for phase 2. We'll be adding more stories to the website. We'll be creating additional assets. And so we ask that if you have a great story to tell, and we know that you do, please share it with us. We can't share stories that we don't know about. So we'd love to hear it. We're all ears. And lastly, so that's how you can support. Now I'll talk a little bit about how our team will be delivering the story. So first is targeted outreach to individuals and organizations in the US Pacific Northwest and major Canadian cities. Each Accelerate Okanagan, Tourism Kelowna, and the COEDC has somewhat overlapping but also unique networks, from relationships with BC trade investment representatives and Canadian trade commissioners in key locations on the ground like Seattle and San Francisco, to direct connectivity with industry and accelerator networks. And so we'll be getting these in the hands of those individuals that are deployed to promote Canada and British Columbia in those markets. And we'll also be promoting in target markets through targeted industry channels, as mentioned earlier with Destination Canada, direct advertising when the time is right, and targeted social media. And lastly, when the time is right, which it isn't right now, and people are ready to travel and we're ready to welcome visitors, we'll be promoting in person, face-to-face. We can't wait for that, at meetings and events, trade shows, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, so that concludes what we'd like to share with you today. I've seen a few questions come through the chat, so we will take some time to answer those. If we don't get to any of them right now, then we'll certainly take those conversations online, or offline, I should say. So I want to start with a question from Janice Larson, which is, given the campaign's approach to position this region as a knowledge center, how will our post-secondary institutions feature? And I'd like to start that question by pointing out something that Virginie talked about earlier when she was talking about sectors and clusters, is that we could not do this and we would not stand up on the international map in these industries. Sorry, my phone's ringing. If we didn't have our post-secondary institutions. So both Okanagan College and UBC Okanagan have a very strong focus on working with industry, whether that's through talent training, specialized programming, or if it's through research projects directly with industry. That's very strong in our region. So that features throughout some of these stories. And as we look to phase 2, we're certainly looking for more ways to tell that story. And I see that we have another comment from Sam Samadar from YLW. The Government of Canada, in conjunction with the provinces, is yet to develop a national strategy, talking a little bit about how we are going to welcome tourism and business events back from international markets. I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer Hornsnell to speak to that briefly.
Sure, thanks so much, Krista. Great question, Sam. And I think when we were looking at this program and this initiative, we realized that this wasn't about short-term economic recovery. We're talking long-term economic recovery, as is the case with some of our partners like YLW. We know that we're not going to look at a return to the normal next year, but it's going to take several years to get back. And we wanted to do our part by finding a way to build that demand for airline capacity. And we know in the shoulder seasons, meetings and conferences is one way to build that demand, corporate business travel, another way to build that demand. And so we're hoping with this program, we can help in that role. So that's how we hope to see your capacity come back.
Great, thank you, Jen. And I'll also speak to an additional comment from Sam, asking about developing this since aviation will be the last sector to recover. And this is something we thought about a lot in this process, and we were really excited to work with Kelowna KF Aerospace. What year am I in? As well as some other aerospace companies like Skytrax Systems in the sector. And while recovery will be long, and we're not recovered yet, we have many months and years to go. As Jen mentioned, we see this playing a role in supporting that recovery. We don't see that sector going away. It's certainly struggling, certainly a difficult time, but we see that sector recovering, and we want to be here to support that. Look through the questions here and see if there's any others. Okay, so that is all the questions that I have directly here, unless I've missed any. So I would like to close today by thanking everyone who was A, involved in the project, and B, who's here today to let us share some of our excitement around it. And we, again, just reiterating that I really hope that all of you will make this project your own and share these stories. And I hope that it got you a little bit excited about what's going on in our region, particularly when we hear from people like Ashley, Lynn, and Matt. So with that, thank you. If you'd like to take a screenshot of this slide, you'll know how to get a hold of us, but I think most of you already do. And we look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you.